Hi, and welcome to Aggregate, where we are all artists who respect creative integrity and intellectual property. With me today is our special judge, Natalia Kills It.
That was like a horrible noise that just came out of my throat.
And me, Natalia kills her own career by mouthing off before she's even vaguely recognised. A solar eclipse happened on Friday the 20th of March, and Facebook lit up with pictures of cloud-covered sky because it's in Europe, north of the Mediterranean, so really what were you expecting? Scientists also warned against selfie blindness, where people would be taking a selfie of themselves with the eclipse over their shoulder and would either look directly at the camera screen, which was displaying the eclipse, or look over their shoulder at the sun. In other news, grown-ass adults had to be reminded not to stare directly at the sun.
When I first read about selfie blindness, I kind of thought that it was something that happened to you when you took too many selfies and the flash just kept going into your eyes, and I really hoped it was true. Just because people who take selfies, like more than one selfie a day, you need to just chill. You put all your selfies together and you can't really see yourself changing between like 25 of them. You're taking too many.
The thing that annoys me about this story is, fair enough, eclipses don't happen particularly often. I mean, the last one that was visible in England was 1999. But it's an eclipse. It is not something that requires quite as much news coverage as it gets. It's just... it's a thing that happens, like, you know, the moon is sometimes a full moon and is sometimes not there at all, and it doesn't need Dara O'Brien telling everyone how to make a pinhole camera so that they don't, you know, like I said, stare directly at the sun. I'd like to think that humankind had moved on from, you know, the turnip farming workers in the fields being shocked and appalled by a comet and thinking the world is going to end. Like, come on, humanity, we taught you better than that.
I think in defence of everyone who got really excited about the eclipse, we have moved on from turnip farming because we're now all unemployed and we can't afford turnips because they've been imported from like another country because we don't grow anything here anymore because there's no sun. But I think if you're still amazed by the eclipse, bearing in mind that most people who were alive for the last one are in fact still alive now. I was one of them. I didn't even watch that one either. I was too busy, like, I was on the PlayStation. But those people are still the kind of people who are amazed at how the tiny people got into the television. Like, those are the people who are operating on, like, fire is bad, Thomas Edison was a witch, look at the sky, the moon is smiling at me, and just, no. Just go inside and better yourself.
Dateline Seattle, Washington, where Joey DeJulio was, that's his name, Joey DeJulio. It's a ridiculous name. There we go. Joey DeJulio was copied into a group email that he realised he'd never spoken to any of these people before. It's happened once or twice, everyone's done it. You send an email to someone you've never met by accident, or you get copied in. So, you know, he was gonna come clean and be all like, hi guys, I don't know anyone here, I think you've got the wrong email address. But it was a group email setting up the plans for a bachelor party. So it was quite funny to read. So he sort of carried on reading it for a while. After a while, the groom and all of the people who had been responding called out all the people who hadn't been responding, including his email address. So he had to come clean. The email Joey sent was, hi all. So I have no idea who any of you guys are, but I've been enjoying being a fly on the wall hearing about the plans for this bachelor party over the last few months. I'm assuming my email address was added to the list by mistake, perhaps a typo of someone else. I live out in Seattle, Washington, and although for a moment I thought it might be funny to just show up and be that guy nobody knows but everyone wonders who is that guy, buying a plane ticket for a cross-country flight to just crash a bachelor party might be a bit over the top, although it would be epic. Nonetheless, I do hope you guys have a great time, and I'd like to take a moment to wish best luck in the life of the groom. Cheers. The groom overnighted Joey a wedding invitation and said if he turned up at the bachelor party, he would be made the best man and allowed to do a speech at the wedding.
It's actually really refreshing to have an email communication-based story that isn't about a member of the British government accidentally sending our nuclear codes to someone instead of like a Hello Kitty meme.
It gets even better because Joey's GoFundMe has reached $5,500 in 4 days. He only needed $1,200. The rest of it is now going to his new bestest best buddies' honeymoon.
I'm waiting for the second, slightly darker story where the groom's original best man snaps and then plots his revenge against this interloper from a different state who's just come on in and stolen things that were his. Grr. So that's going to be an interesting story. It probably won't end as nicely, but it might still end in like a GoFundMe to, you know, fund his lawyers, I suppose.
As soon as Joey came clean in the email, one of the other guys in the email thread looked Joey up on Facebook, and Joey and the groom actually look quite a lot like each other, which is a shame because it's like, it's so close to being one of those separated at birth soulmate type stories, and it's just not quite. But I feel like this is going to become the next sort of bromance movie, you know? Like, Paul Rudd is going to star in this in like 6 months with Jason Segel. Except they already did that, didn't they? That was I Love You Man, which was a weirdly similar film. Also in the news this week, over middle-aged British white men continue to prove how out of touch they are with the general public thanks to their large salaries severing any contact they have with the general hoi polloi. Am I talking about the British government's release of new budget figures and how they intend to cut the NHS? Or am I talking about Jeremy Clarkson? You decide! This is the news that Jeremy Clarkson punched a producer in the face on set for Top Gear because he didn't have a hot meal laid on for him when he got on location.
Just to get on my sexist moped, just mow that thing home, honk. I don't know why it has a horn. I can have a horn if I want to. That if this was a woman who'd just thrown a fit, that there wasn't some lovely hot meal for her at the end of a day's work and needed someone to hold her hand, then she would just be branded like a random diva and everyone would hate her and be laughing about her in the tabloids. But because it's Clarkson! Good old Clarkson! Basically the Nigel Farage of daytime television. They kind of look similar, that's what I'm saying. Illegal genetic research probably happened. Then everyone's like up in arms about it, like he's the crown jewels of the BBC, which is stupid, because that's Stephen Moffat, who is also kind of old and curly-haired and sexist and racist. They were all grown in pods.
There's been loads of reports about exactly how bad the fight was and what has been said, and some people are claiming it's a little publicity stunt, and some people are claiming that Clarkson was going to get fired anyway, so he's just kind of going down kicking and screaming.
Jeremy Clarkson is the embarrassing dad at like the school gates waiting to pick up his children. He's too old to be wearing a leather jacket, he has weird hair, and he looks like he smells like really, really Old Spice. Putting all that aside, I love the fact that he has been racist, sexist, homophobic, and just generally kind of just an arsehole for like the last since he was born. And yet the one thing that actually gets him in trouble and stands in the chance of losing his pretty shit job is the fact that he dared punch another white man in the face.
Interestingly enough, Top Gear in its current format has run since 2002, but it was on the BBC before then, since about 1970-something, which means that Clarkson, when he appeared on the old version of Top Gear, if you add that onto his current amount of time with Top Gear, it's something like 27 years. So he has been, for 27 years, trying to make people interested in cars they have no intention of buying. That does not sound like a job, that sounds like hell. I would punch someone in the face after 27 years of being on Top Gear.
And also, if I wanted to punch someone every time that I was not provided with, not just hot food at work, but just like my basic human rights, then my knuckles would be outside of my hand all over someone else's face.
If Jeremy Clarkson was headed for retirement anyway, I mean, you know, he's earned enough money to last him forever, and you know, he is getting on a bit. It wouldn't really be surprising if this is how they decided to just kind of shove him off the show without having to publish how much they paid him in his retirement package, because let's face it, the BBC is trying to look young and appealing now, and Jeremy Clarkson looks like his leather jackets.
If he's not going to be on Top Gear, fair enough. He can go on and do other things at the BBC. Like, I'd really like to see him on MasterChef, being sliced really thinly and served with a teriyaki glaze.
That's your Facebook feed in summary, and this was Aggregate, reminding you not to stare directly at Jeremy Clarkson. Also in the news this week, over-middle-aged white men continue to prove how out of touch they were with the general public thanks to their large salaries.
Large celeries?
Their large salary.
Which are also sort of white and tasteless. So.
You heard it here first. They buy their large celery from Waitrose.